Hello and welcome to AR on AR. I'm Adam Rose, and today we're going to be looking at tow ropes, the kind you use for trekking. And the reason we're looking at this is it's an essential piece of kit, I would say, especially on an expedition race. And if you're looking for a bike towing kit, we'll look at that in another episode. Okay, so this little thing is an essential piece of kit, I would argue, especially in expedition racing. It's really simple, really lightweight, small, and what we use it for is to tow team members along who are not doing as well, especially if somebody's feeling really tired, they're lagging. What you don't want to do is run ahead and then wait for them to catch up. The reason that's a negative is not only is it frustrating for the fast team members, it's frustrating for that person who's right at the back because they feel they're dragging the team down. So you want to encourage them, and it's no good just saying, come on, go faster. They're trying to go as fast as they can, I'm sure. But if you give them a tow rope, you're going to give them enough of a physical encouragement that they can go slightly faster than they would otherwise. And so if they're going faster and they're the slowest member of the team, you've just raised the average speed of the team. Now, we don't really drag people around with these things. What we tend to do is, as I say, just give them enough encouragement. So it's pretty similar to if you're gone for a long run, you're feeling really tired, and somebody walks up behind you, a friend, and puts their hand in the small of your back, just down low here, and just runs alongside you, just giving you that little encouragement on the back. That's enough for you to feel supported, to feel that you're doing something together. So it raises your spirits emotionally, mentally, but also it's that free little bit of energy that you didn't have before, which enabled you to go that little bit faster. Okay, now in putting one of these together, you'd probably think, just get a piece of string, stick it on A, stick it on B, drag somebody along. But there's a little bit more to it than that. So what I have is on one end, got a carabiner, little snap link, and obviously that can be clipped onto the waist belt of a bag. So in my backpack that I'm wearing here, I can just attach it to the waist belt, and then the front end would go on the person towing me. It's got a little bit of bungee. Now, not all tow ropes have this, and the reason I've incorporated this thing is because you can imagine if this is a static piece of cord, then when the tower is pulling the towee, every time the tower gets a little bit faster, the towee is jerked. They feel that jerking motion. So by incorporating a short length of bungee cord, not the whole thing, just a short length, it takes up that little bit of jerk, that little bit of bounce. So it essentially makes for a more comfortable ride. So there, a little bit of bungee, and then I've got what's 2 meters of paracord. Okay. And then on the far end of that, I've got another carabiner. Okay, so one end attached to the waist belt of the person towing, and one attached to the waist belt of the person being towed. Okay, and even when it comes to where you attach this thing, it's important. And you'll see teams, with plenty of experience attaching it. There's not too many places you can consider, but essentially what we're looking at is, do you attach it to the person's waist, or do you attach it to the person's chest? Okay, and the simple physics is, the most efficient energy transfer between 2 points is the shortest line, and in this case, a horizontal line. So if this is the towee, and that's the tower, that's the best, a horizontal line between the two people. What you don't want is it's attached to the waist, let's say, of the towee, and onto the back of the backpack, at the top of the backpack of the tower, because you can see that it's at an angle, and that is as not efficient as a horizontal, or straightest, shortest line between those 2 points. Okay, so right now, if I was going to be the one doing the towing, I'll just show you on this particular pack how I do it. This pack has something they call the universal gear rail. That's just the branding that they use. But the point is, it's got a really handy little thing that I can attach the tow rope to. And most packs will have something, that you can attach to. I'm not attaching it high up on the pack because, as I say, that's not going to be efficient. And some of the other consequences of attaching it high up on the tower is, you can imagine the tow rope's attached to me and I'm pulling somebody behind me here. If it's low down on my hips, then I have strength in my hips. Pretty much every running sport and dance and martial arts and boxing, they all generate power from the hips. And obviously when you're towing somebody, if I put the tow rope high up, it's not attached to my hips, it's attached high up. So if I'm trying to tow somebody, I'll literally be pulled over backwards. So my response will be to lean forwards to compensate so that I don't fall over backwards, right? And if I'm leant forward like this, essentially I'm starting to use my shoulders, I'm using my upper back, I'm using my lower back, and that's all taking strain. That's not very efficient. It's going to tire me out slightly, right? Compared to if it's in my hips, as the tow, if it's attached to my hips, my upper body is free. It's not encumbered. I don't have to lean forward. I don't get bad posture or bad form. Obviously, you lean slightly forward because you naturally do when you're walking or even running, but you don't want to feel that you're being pulled from the top. You want to feel it from the hips. And then, if I'm being towed along, I'll just put this chest strap along here. You can imagine if I'm being towed along from high up, I'm going to be pulled forward again. So that's going to take strain on my lower back as the person being towed. If I'm being pulled forward, I'm going to have to compensate, and it's just not comfortable. So, attach it to the waist. Okay, but what about if the person being towed doesn't have a backpack? Because that will happen occasionally. So I'll just take this off. Now, the reason I'm taking it off, if I'm suffering, if I'm going really slowly, I might take my pack off and give it to my teammate. So I don't have anything to attach the tow rope onto. So again, that's why I make these things with little carabiners on the end, is because you can create a loop. So whether you're the tower or the towee, I'll just put this around my waist. So attaching it around my waist with that carabiner means it's functional no matter the person being towed's got a backpack with them or not. Okay, so these are the materials I use to create a trekking tow rope. Probably take you 5 minutes to put it together, or even less. So on the right-hand side here, I've got some 550 paracord. It doesn't have to be that, as long as it's strong, lightweight, does the job, roughly 2 meters in length. Then I've got this bungee cord. It's probably 5 or 6 millimeters thick. Again, doesn't have to be very strong because you're not taking a very heavy load on it. A couple of lightweight carabiners. Again, don't have to be very strong, not taking a huge weight on it. And a zip tie. And strictly speaking, you don't need the duct tape, you don't need the scissors. So pretty much very, very simple materials. Now, to put it together, let me just pull this apart. Okay, I'm going to take one end of the paracord, and I'll just put a simple figure of 8 there. Now, I'll do an overhand knot first to show you what I don't want. There's the overhand knot, just like very, very simple. The reason I don't want that is because it's harder to undo that if it's been under load for any period of time. So I'll undo that quickly. And for anybody who's a climber, they'll be used to using a figure of 8. So there are lots of instructions on YouTube of how to create a figure of 8. So there, my lumpen simple figure of 8, easy to undo after a long period of load. Then on the other end of the paracord, okay, I want to join that to the bungee, and I'm going to use what's called a sheet band, which is a really useful knot for joining especially 2 ropes of different diameter. So you loop the thicker one, the bungee cord in this case, take the thinner one, the paracord, put it up through the loop in the middle, go around the back, and then don't drop it through the hole again, just put it underneath itself. So there we go. Right? When I pull this tight, I've been using this for tow ropes for a very long time. It never comes undone. And the benefit of that is it's really easy to undo. Again, you can see it's such a simple knot. It'll be really easy to undo if I need to undo it. And then on the other end, I want to join it to the carabiner. Okay, so let me put it through there. And to join that together, I'm just going to use that zip tie. Very simple one because it's all that's needed. There we go. Done. Probably going to squeeze that along a little bit. Okay. So there is the tow rope complete. And if I want to make it look neater, I'll probably just go and snip this off here, put a little bit of duct tape around it. You don't have to do this, but, it'll make things look a bit smarter, I guess. So there we go. squeeze that together. And then I might also put it at this end of the bungee cord, just again to neaten it up somewhat. So another piece of duct tape. Again, not necessary. Looks tidier and keeps things together. So in a matter of minutes, I've got a functioning tow rope. Some other points to consider when you make a tow rope is you want to make your kit as versatile as possible. So by making it of these materials, for example, the paracord, the reason I'm using that is paracord in itself is pretty light and yet very, very strong. These little carabiners, really functional little things to have on your kit. And this is a bit of bungee. So I've designed these tow ropes so that you can take them apart really easily. And that means, although I've got this in my pack, if there's an emergency, if something breaks, if a cord breaks, if a strap breaks, I can just take my tow rope, disassemble it within a few seconds, and suddenly I've got some cord to tie something up, tie something onto my bike, a little bit of bungee. I need to create a bungee. Instead of, imagine one of these bottle holders broke, I could use this bungee, tie it onto my strap to create a bottle holder in itself. So you want to make your kit as versatile as possible so you don't have to end up carrying too much, or you've got something with you that you can adapt to some other use. Also consider the fact that if you are offered a tow rope by your teammate, what they're really saying is, take the tow rope. It's a polite way of saying, take it now. What they're not really doing is saying, would you like a tow rope? They're really saying, take the tow rope. Okay, and there should be no ego involved in accepting that tow rope. You shouldn't be too proud. You should, I'm fine, I'm fine. No. Teammate offers you a tow rope, take the tow rope. Okay, and just to give you a quick example of using a tow rope, I was in a race with my team. We were out in Slovenia, second day of the race. The first day of the race, I had suffered from heat exhaustion. Turned out to be the hottest day of the year, I think. Anyway, it had affected me quite badly on the first day. On the second day, I was recovering, but it still takes quite a toll. And we were going through this long forest, and my teammate said to me, listen, take a tow rope. And I was like, yeah, sure, because I have no problem being towed. And he towed me for many, many miles, many, many kilometers. I don't know how long or how far we went, but it was along a gentle gradient, so it wasn't very difficult, and I think it was tar road, so it was fairly straightforward. The point is, I was completely out of it. I had my eyes shut, and I was just staggering along. He said to me afterwards, it felt like he was towing a drunken caravan, because I was like swaying backwards and forwards across the road. Anyway, I was so tired that there was a street sign, a road sign, and my teammate was just marching ahead. He didn't notice, but I swayed across and walked slap bang into that road sign. I mean, it made quite a loud noise. It woke me up. I couldn't see it previously because obviously my eyes were shut. My teammate whipped around like, are you all right? And I was like, fine, because I was almost in that semi-drunk state. The thing is, I was so tired, if we hadn't had a tow rope, the team would have had to stop and wait, and I would have had to lie down on the ground and go to sleep for a while and recover before the good team could make progress again. So instead, with the tow rope, even though I wasn't really functioning in any other sense, I was able to just put one foot in front of the other. And thanks to the tow rope, the average speed of the team was increased, and we were able to continue making progress. In fact, there was a team years ago that was called Relentless Forward Momentum. And I love that name. Don't know what's happened to the team. But you can see that that's exactly the mentality in adventure racing, that especially expedition racing, you just want to make every effort to keep on moving. You don't want to stop, you don't want to wait, you don't want to slow down, you just want to keep on making progress, because it's those little breaks that become bigger breaks that slow you down so much that you might not even end up finishing the race. And finally, I keep this in my pack all the time. So whether I'm training, whether I'm racing, whether I'm just going into the mountains just for some fun, I carry this the whole time. You'll find, especially if you've got family members who are not as keen as you are to go on that long trek, if you suddenly pull this out of your pack, pull out some jelly babies, suddenly they have a lot more energy than they thought they did. And the entire family goes faster. Okay, so tow rope's a really handy little tool. As I say, we'll look at how to create a bike tow rope in another episode, and hopefully this has been useful. Yep. Thanks very much. Cheers.